Senator McCreery's.
Okay.
73.
Sorry I'm late. Brogan, call the roll.
Chairman O'Loughlin. Vice Chair Rowden. Senators Brown 16. Here. Eigel. Luetkemeyer. Here. May. Williams.
So we do have a quorum, and we'll hear Senate Bill 1173, Senator McCreery. We know how that is. It's never ending.
Do you want to go in executive?
So I have a question. So how do you determine directly benefit? So does that mean, like, how do you determine that?
Well, I think it goes back to the definition of employer, but I'm also open to feedback because I assume that my colleague would have some feedback on this as well. Employer means any person, firm, corporation, association, or fiduciary of any kind or other type of organization for which the individual performs service, including firm, corporation, or any other type of organization owned by such individual. I think it comes down to financially benefit, not so much like changing public policy for the good as much as financially directly benefit the person. And I will say, years ago, when I was just a citizen lobbyist coming to this building before term limits were in place, there was a lot more of elected officials recusing themselves from things because they intended to stay in office for a long time, and they would like intentionally recuse themselves from votes where they felt like it would directly benefit a business they owned, for example. But I feel like because of term limits, and a lot of us don't know each other's backgrounds or bios or where, like, I don't even know where a lot of you guys work, you know, outside of the legislature. This to me is just a way to ensure to the public that, you know, you can see transparently what somebody's trying to do.
Okay, does anyone else have a question, comment? All right. Do we have anyone here to testify in favor? That's what goes for me, too. Anyone here to testify in opposition? Anyone for informational purposes only? Seeing none, do you have any closing comments?
Well, I would just say, when I look at some of the legislative packages that some of you have filed, I think that there are several bills out there that could possibly be rolled into an ethics reform bill. We had some in years past, too, that have never made it across the finish line, so I'm certainly open to doing a little bit of cleanup, quite honestly. I think the senator from the 15th also has something that would be some cleanup regarding the Missouri Ethics Commission, so I'm certainly open to putting together some non-controversial cleanup that could help meet a bunch of colleagues' needs.
All right, so, and I appreciate that. I'm not opposed to it. I think that there could be questions of, does this apply to me or not, or,
Right.
you know, that kind of thing, so.
Well, and I think that the Missouri Ethics Commission could clarify that. You know, I feel like with existing state law regarding elected officials and what we're supposed to disclose and not disclose, there are detailed rules, frequently asked questions. There's also cases from past that you can look at to get clarity on what the Missouri Ethics Commission guidance is. So I feel like they should be able to lay that out. But no, I'm
Okay.
certainly open to fine-tuning the definition because I don't want this to cause confusion.
Okay. Senator Luetkemeyer.
Yeah, it's just one quick comment,
Yeah.
kind of along those lines. So I think maybe the way to handle it is to just have a new definition for what it means to directly benefit.
Okay.
Because like I could see and I deal with this all the time. So I work in the insurance industry. I recuse on any vote that has specifically to do with life insurance and annuities, because that's when I'm outside of the legislature, that's the type of insurance company I work for. But for example, Senator Crawford will sometimes roll out an omnibus, bill that doesn't have anything that directly relates to life or annuities. I feel comfortable voting on those bills because they regulate the industry broadly. There's nothing specific, either favorable or unfavorable to the company that I work for. But I think if you put a definition in there that further drills down on what it means to provide a direct benefit, whether that's financial or otherwise, I think that would give more clarity to members so that they can disclose it. Because your bill's not even saying you can't file a bill.
Right, it's just
You just have to disclose it, and to just have clear rules as to when disclosure would be required. I think that would be helpful.
Okay, well, I'm happy to work with you. My analogy was I'm on the board of an FQHC, a health center, and obviously we deal with a lot of healthcare policy, but I don't directly benefit from any of that. So, but the challenge is clearly defining that. So, very good. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Since we have established a quorum, I make a motion we move into executive session. All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it. We're now in executive session. I make a motion that we bring Senate Bill 854 before the committee. And I have a second. All those in favor, please say aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it. Senate Bill 854 is now before the committee. This is Senator Luetkemeyer's bill that would remove the 6-year limit on the tenure of the director of the Missouri Ethics Commission. I now make a motion that we vote do pass Senate Bill 854, and I have a second. Stop it. Is there any discussion from the committee? Seeing none, Secretary, please call the roll.
Chairwoman O'Loughlin,
Aye.
Vice Chair Rowden, Brown 16. Aye. Heigl, Luetkemeyer, May, and Williams. 4-0.
By a vote of 4-0, we do pass that. The next order of business is review of consent bills that have been distributed to the committee. These bills include my bill, Senate Bill 1296, which deals with the conveyance of state property in Kirksville, Missouri. Senator Luetkemeyer, Senate Bill 1266, dealing with the use of funds from the Pretrial Witness Protection Services Fund to provide security of witnesses and immediate family members during criminal proceedings. Senator Arthur, Senate Bill 1379, which creates the Public Defender Federal and Other Fund in the state of Missouri, where funding from any government grants, private gifts, donations, or other sources will be deposited. And finally, my bill, Senate Bill 1393, which changes the deadline for a school district to submit a proposal to operate a recovery high school from December 1st to July 1st of the school year preceding the beginning of operations. Is there any discussion from anyone on the committee about any of these bills?
So tell me about the pretrial witness thing again.
So, do you want me to talk about it?
I do.
So, Senator, we heard the bill in Judiciary a couple of years ago in a special session. One of the things the governor had within his call was to create a pretrial witness protection fund that was funded through appropriations. We have appropriated money for it for the last couple of appropriation cycles that allows law enforcement to remove people who might be witnesses at trial from dangerous situations so that they're encouraged to testify. The only change in the bill this year is to broaden who can seek funds from the Witness Protection Fund. Right now, it's just the chief law enforcement officer in the district. This broadens it to the prosecutor, because oftentimes at trial, the prosecuting attorney is the one that's actually coordinating witnesses.
But wouldn't it be, since it's a fund, so who the General Assembly?
It's subject to appropriations.
Subject to appropriation.
Correct. So it's just a fund, which is why the fiscal note is 0 on it.
So, does it say we shall appropriate?
No, it doesn't have mandatory appropriation language around it. It gives us, it's just the creation of a fund where we can, at our option, appropriate money into the fund.
when needed.
Yeah. There's no requirement to appropriate funds, though, which is why the fiscal note's 0. So this is really just intended to, one of the pieces of feedback that we've received from the Department of Public Safety and others is that the fund has been up to this point underutilized, and one of the reasons for that is the authority that's typically going to request funds to secure witnesses is going to be the folks who are calling the witnesses at trial, so like in a homicide case, and that's going to be the prosecuting attorney or the circuit attorney, as opposed to the police chief or the sheriff. The police chief or sheriff is involved in the initial arrest and the initial police report and the initial investigation of the crime, but when witnesses are being coordinated for trial, that's the prosecuting attorney's office that handles that. And so all this is doing is broadening it to say that prosecutors can also request money from the fund.
So, the only reason I'm concerned is by expanding it, you're expanding the obligation, the financial obligation of the general revenue, and it could grow. But if it's not required that we fund the fund,
It's not. Yeah, it's just the creation of a fund, and so it's subject to appropriation. If we never appropriate any more money and it's spent down to 0, there's no further financial obligation by the state. You're on the committee of origination for this bill. I think you voted for it already.
I didn't vote for it.
Since there is no further discussion, I make a motion that we exit executive session. All in favor say aye. Any opposed? We are now out of executive session, and we will hear SJR54, Senator Cierpiot.
It's okay, sir, we have another.
Thank you, Madam Chairman and Senators. For the record, Mike Cierpiot from the 8th Senate District. I'm here to present SJR 54. When Clean Missouri passed, it put a restriction on legislators and staff that prohibits them from lobbying for 2 years. The arguments for this on elected seem clear, but not so much for staff. This SJR will make it so the restriction doesn't apply to them. I don't believe staff should be prohibited from future opportunities because Clean Missouri was intending to restrict legislators. This prohibition makes it hard for young staffers to move on after a senator is termed out or a House member. It also prohibits doormen from doing any lobbying opportunities if they may arise. The General Assembly is beginning to have issues hiring experienced staff because of the 2-year ban. It creates a real sacrifice for experienced staff that have a lot to offer but can't face this future restriction. I believe the entire revolving door part of Clean Missouri was intended as a sweetener to pass the actual language of redistricting. SJR 54 will release our staff from that unfairness and allow them many more opportunities lobbying in the future. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
All right, thank you. Any questions? Seeing none. Is there anyone here to testify in favor? Anyone in opposition? Anyone for informational purposes only? Seeing none.
Thank you.
Thank you. I move we're adjourned.